All right, we will call the Parker Planning Commission meeting of June 22nd, 2023 to order at 7 p.m. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Microphone there. All right. Roll call. Absent is Kim. Seated for Kim is Nick. All other members present. Are there any additions to or deletions from the agenda?
No, sir, there are not.
All right. Thank you, Mary. Item number 5A, a public hearing. A resolution to adopt the Bike and Pedestrian Master Plan as part of the Town of Parker Transportation Master Plan, and we will open the public hearing at 7:01. Jeremiah, we're all yours.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Jeremiah Fettig. I'll be giving tonight's presentation on the adoption of the Bike and Pedestrian Master Plan. Next. So tonight we'll be covering what the plan is, the planning process and the approach, how we got there, project vision and goals, the community engagement components, and then finally the plan components. So starting with what the plan is. So the plan focuses on bicycling and pedestrian facilities. It's a recommendation and element of the Transportation Master Plan. And this new plan will replace the town's bike lane plan, which was adopted in 2005. So the image there is the title page of that document, so a bit outdated, so we're excited to get something new adopted here. It'll include recommendations, or it does include recommendations to create a cohesive townwide bicycle and pedestrian network. And it's a consolidated policy document to improve safety, comfortability, access to active transportation opportunities. The plan also incorporates recommendations from other town policy documents, and it's all into a singular document, a bit easier for us to implement at a staff level. So one of the buzzwords I said was active transportation. So just a quick definition. So active transportation is any means of getting around, usually involving walking and bicycling, but also including other non-motorized forms of transportation, such as the use of wheelchairs, rollerblades, roller skates, skateboards, and then e-bikes and scooters are inclusive within that definition, and those are some new and exciting opportunities that are kind of transforming the active transportation landscape. All right, so what is the plan? The Bike and Pedestrian Master Plan, it's a vision plan for bike and pedestrian mobility. It guides decision-making and provides the framework for future planning. It will be used to inform the capital improvement program, and it'll also guide the town's investment in bike and pedestrian infrastructure. So this is a long-range outlook on active transportation with a goal to improve the quality of life for residents and visitors of Parker. So the plan is not a regulatory document, it's not a zoning ordinance, it's not a land development code, nor is it any specific capital project. To get to the capital project phase, we have to go through the CIP and budgeting process. This is just recommendations based. And ultimately, it's not a rigid document. So just as many of our other master plans, it can be updated as we go along and things change. So how do we get to where we are today? So some background on the project process and approach. So we had really good collaboration with other town departments, including Parks Rec and Open Space, Engineering Public Works, our communications staff, and then with IT, with the geographic information systems, they helped with the mapping. So the following are the main components which informed the development of the plan. So we did data collection, looked at the existing conditions, did some analysis there. A lot of public outreach and engagement, and then we formulated vision, goals, and strategies, and then ultimately ended with our recommendations and implementation. So the project was launched in 2021, so it's been a bit since we finally got here. In early 2022, we conducted an analysis of the existing conditions and held public outreach events. After this, the plan began to take shape as public input was incorporated and our findings into the drafts. The public draft was sent to internal departments, so those that I listed that we collaborated with all got, a chance to review and be involved in that process during the drafting phase. And then from there, we revised, had a draft plan that we put out for the public that was posted online in various places, so we can get more feedback from there. Along the way, we had study sessions before you all and town council as well to help inform. And here we are, slated for public hearing before town council on July 17th for final adoption. Next. So some of the plan outcomes are to align town policy and regulation with the community's vision and goals for an active transportation network, advance interconnectivity of the bike and pedestrian transportation facilities, and then ultimately improve mobility choices and opportunities for walking and biking. So these outcomes are just kind of high-level goals. Once we got into the plan, we refined even more, and some of these kind of bleed into the ultimate goals that were included. So really important, the plan visions. This was shaped by public input that we heard in kind of best practices and from you all. So the vision for the plan is to be a community where bicycling, walking, and rolling are comfortable, safe, and convenient, provide multimodal transportation options, and a network for people of all ages and abilities. So, through the adoption and implementation of this plan, that's one step towards achieving that vision. So there are 6 overarching goals in the plan, and they kind of all have a theme. So the themes are accessibility, connectivity, health and safety, increased usage, and then finally implementation. So in a couple slides, we'll see some recommendation examples, and we'll just see how they're kind of tied to those specific goal themes. All right, so community engagement, very critical to this project, as is community engagement to all of our planning projects. So as technology has advanced, we have a really neat opportunity to use Let's Talk Parker project website, project page for this. So last numbers that I pulled were 1,400 specific visits to the project webpage. So obviously one singular user could have visited multiple times, but still that's a pretty nice number to see that we did have some encouraging feedback and visits on the platform. So there was also opportunity to host documents, post important dates, and updates along the way on that website. And then one of the best tools on there was the interactive mapping tool. So the interactive mapping tool allowed respondents to place site-specific pins or location-specific pins throughout Parker, and they could, then tag a comment saying, "Hey, we want a bike lane here. We want improved connectivity here. Missing trail connection here." So that was really, really important and beneficial to us. So there were 58 map pins added when I pulled the numbers, and along with that, there were 45 comments just on the project, independent of that interactive mapping tool. So some encouraging feedback there. Along the way, we also conducted 2 surveys, and those surveys were used to discern and analyze kind of the major trends and issues that we were seeing or hope to maybe see in Parker. And then through that, we could kind of identify community values and priorities. In total, I think we had 40 respondents or thereabouts take those, so some decent interaction. We also used Talk of the Town newsletter that was put out just to get some more feedback and information out into the general public. So next slide. So we'll see the first Talk of the Town article there is on the right. So that was from, I believe, August of 2021. We also used social media. We used email lists, listservs to send out emails, anything we could just to kind of get the word out and get people to be involved. And then we did the formal open houses. So we did 2 in person and then 1 virtual. So the two in March of 2022. So we did the one at Parker Field House, and then the second one was online just for anyone that couldn't join. And then December of last year, we held a second open house at the Pace Center. Along the way, we also were in front of you all for 2 study sessions, but also a couple updates for long-range projects along the way, too. So kept you all apprised of the project and involved. So very, very helpful. All right, so the plan components. There are 4 chapters in the plan. So Chapter 1 is the introduction to the plan. So within that chapter, it includes the background of Parker, what the plan is, kind of it sets the stage for what the plan seeks to do, includes the plan's vision, goals, and strategies, and then a summary of the plan's relationships to existing town plans and studies. So all these master plans we have and policies, they all just build upon each other. Chapter 2 contains an analysis of existing multimodal transportation system facilities, results from the study that Tool Study did. So the town hired an outside consultant to conduct an analysis on the bike network, and then also a level of stress analysis on roadways, just to see where we could best benefit from putting dollars into the bike network. Chapter 3 summarizes community feedback. So this is largely just the results from open houses, the project webpage, and all of that from the public. And then Chapter 4 is the improvement toolbox, and that includes recommendations and then ways that we can improve and expand Parker's bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. So here are just a couple examples from Chapter 1. So we tried to include graphics, tables, photos, anything we could to kind of make it a bit more appealing, interesting, stimulating. It is a planning document, so there's quite a bit of text, but it serves a purpose. So pretty happy with the outcome. Next. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, so the recommendations fall into the specific themes or goals. So within each goal, there's 5 to 10 specific recommendations. There's a total of 55 recommendations in the plan, so I just have a couple up here, for example. And then I'll just read 2 examples real quick. So under Goal 2, accessibility. So the recommendation is to provide bike facilities on downtown streets with new development and redevelopment. So the town has an opportunity as there's some new development going forward. So it's important just to kind of capture that and make sure that we implement best practices downtown. And then Goal 6, implementation, seek to expand and prioritize the sidewalk gap program in the capital improvement program. So each year there's money set aside for sidewalk gap improvements. So if there's a missing gap, so we just want to see that through and make sure that that money continues to be allocated. So this just furthers kind of the town's stance and vision for that. So in conclusion, the master plan promotes and furthers a healthy and active lifestyle in Parker. It will inform the development of the capital improvement program and those projects. It aids in the budgeting process as well. It furthers Parker's multimodal active transportation network and connects people to places in the community. So with that, so staff recommends the Planning Commission recommend Town Council approve the proposed resolution adopting the Bike and Pedestrian Master Plan as a part of the Transportation Master Plan. So that concludes my presentation. I will stand for questions.
Questions for Jeremiah? No? No. Seeing none. This is a public hearing, and we always open the public hearing to public comment. Anyone from the public wish to step forward and make a comment, please step forward to the podium. Seeing none, we will close the public comment. Any other questions for Jeremiah?
Not really a question so much as it is maybe a comment or a request, kind of. In the last month or so, Denver has passed a resolution to lower their speed limit by 5 miles an hour in some neighborhoods. And has that ever been a consideration with this plan or in the future? I know you're going to modify the plan down the road, so I just ask that maybe consider, because there's a lot of people I see that are going 10 and 20 miles over the speed limit, and if we could get it lowered in certain areas, especially inside the neighborhood, it might make it safer for bicyclists.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So there's no specific recommendation to lower speed limits, but we do want to monitor any data that we can on bike or pedestrian impacts or collisions. So through that, maybe we could glean some information. And then additionally, on kind of high impact intersections, ways of mitigating or slowing traffic with bulb outs or other kind of improvements is a recommendation in there. So through that recommendation in key areas, we can, through concrete improvements, hopefully slow down some of that traffic.
Okay, thank you.
A few things. Number one, this has been going on, it feels like a longer time, but it really has gone quickly. So kudos and hats off to the town staff for getting this done. I like what I heard, the multimodal. I don't think you left anything out. If you have, it doesn't exist. I'm going to say, just for the record, I'm being recorded, it doesn't exist. So I appreciate that as someone who, not only rides a scooter sometimes, but I've also rollerbladed, et cetera. So thank you for that. And I really, hats off to the fact that safety was the number one concern as well. So thank you.
Any other questions for Jeremiah before we close the public hearing part?
Oh, the only other question I had, Jeremiah, was in the public comment, was there any one area that was added specifically because people came to you through public comment and through the public interface?
Yeah, so I would say the key thing that we took from public comment was separate projects, but when we updated the open space trails and greenways master plan, those missing trail connections. So a majority of those trail connections came directly from this plan's mapping tool.
Okay,
so
great.
that was that. And then some additions of bike lanes on some of those internal streets came from that
Thank
mapping
you.
tool as well.
I'm really glad to see the discussion by the public being pulled into what's in the responsiveness to that. That's a good thing to see. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, we will close the public hearing at 7:17. Commissioner discussion?
I'm certainly in favor of it, moving it forward.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mary and Jeremiah for, it was a long process, seemed like about a year and a half. And I think you guys put in a lot of time and effort, and applaud you for that, and getting the public involved in getting feedback from them and what they want to see. So I'll recommend moving it on to the town council.
I'll kind of jump in and echo that as well. Since when I started here as a planning commissioner, this project had just kind of come into its birth stage. I think you've done a tremendous job and deserve accolades. I think you've kind of nailed it. The vision statement through, again, safety first. I really appreciate that approach. And I think this is going to improve the character of the town. I think it's going to have a lot of impact going forward, a lot of positive impact. So I am for it.
Now, this is a tremendous improvement over what we had from 2005 and the detail that you've put into it. And I particularly appreciate the pictures of the traffic calming measures, because I am always curious to know what's being considered for that sort of thing. It's good to be able to point to something and say, that's what that looks like. Thank you very much.
Yeah, nothing to add that hasn't already been said, but thank you both for sticking with it, and what a great output and product.
Agree with my fellow commissioners. Definitely in favor, and thanks so much for all the hard work.
I guess I'm having trouble with my computer here, but at any rate, I certainly want to thank Mary and Jeremiah for the work you've put into this. I just need to see them. Thank you. Put into this, and it is, again, a very thorough piece of work, and a credit to all of your efforts. And so do we have a motion?
I move the Planning Commission recommend Town Council adopt the Bike and Pedestrian Master Plan as part of the Parker Transportation Master Plan.
I second.
Been moved by Rich, seconded by Ruth Ann, that Planning Commission recommend Town Council adopt the Bike and Pedestrian Master Plan as part of the Parker Transportation Master Plan. I will call the question. Nick?
Aye.
Ileana?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ruth Ann?
Aye.
Roxy?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Chair is aye, passes unanimously. All right, Planning Commission items. I guess I would like to take a moment to thank Rich Forster and Kim, who's not here, for their service to the Planning Commission over these last many years, and you've been a valuable member of this commission, and I have enjoyed working with you. So, best of luck and new things to do.
Thank you, Gary, and everybody. I've been on it for 7 years, and I've learned a heck of a lot, and hopefully more citizens will apply, and really informative, and like I said, learned a lot about how the town operates and the different parts of what goes on, whether it's Parks and Rec, engineering, annexations, all that stuff. Just, it's a real learning experience. So I really enjoyed it, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Rich. Staff items. Mary?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, we also, as staff and the town, would like to recognize Rich Forrester for his dedicated service to the Planning Commission. And we have a plaque. Thank you so much for your 7 years, and you will be very much missed.
Yes.
Yes, by staff and your fellow commissioners. But thank you again for being so dedicated, and it's not an easy job being a commissioner. We understand that. It's a learning cliff, probably all the time. So with that, I want to present you a plaque in appreciation and recognition for your years of service as Planning Commissioner for the town of Parker, June 2016 to June 2023.
Wow.
We don't have the photographer
Yeah,
here
we
tonight.
don't have the camera person.
Come back sometime.
Hopefully we'll see you in December.
All right. Anything else, Mary?
No, sir, I think that's it. See you at the next meeting.
I have a question for Jeff. Is there still a new commissioner orientation on the 29th?
Yes, there will be on the
Okay.
29th.
So there are new commissioners' orientation is the 29th of this month, and
And all the current commissioners are invited to attend as well.
sure. Is that a 5:30 meeting, Jeff? Okay.
Some need more training than others.
Some still haven't been trained.
Sorry.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the June 22nd, 2023 Planning Commission meeting.
I second.
It's been moved by Eric, seconded by Ileana, that we adjourn the meeting. Nick?
Aye.
Ileana?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ruth Ann?
Aye.
Roxy?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Chair is aye. We are adjourned.